Welcome, Longhorn families. Thanks for joining us for our first Lambert Connected podcast. I am Chelsea Buccarati, one of the assistant administrators at Lambert, and I'm here today with our principal, Ms. Thrower, and one of our students, Niu Naluri. In this podcast episode, we are going to do a back and forth kind of question and answer with Ms. Thrower and Niu about the ways that parents can help students start strong this school year. Okay, up first, we are going to talk about building a sense of belonging and community in a school building. Niu, why do you think it's important for students to feel a sense of belonging in high school?
I think it's important for students to feel a sense of belonging in high school so that they are thoroughly enriched throughout their entire high school experience and so that they have the most fun that they can. You only have 4 years here and you have to make the most of it before you go on to do more adult-like things. This is the time where you can really explore yourself and explore the types of people that you want to be around and the person that you want to be as well. So I think it's super important to feel that sense of belonging, especially here at Lambert, because this is such a great place to be able to feel all the things you want to feel, be able to talk to the people you want to talk to, and find different kinds of people with different interests, especially through the different types of clubs and the programs that we have through this school.
And Niu, how can students get connected through clubs early on?
The best way to do that is if you attended Club Rush, for example. That's where you can connect with a lot of different people, and talking to a ton of seniors as well or upperclassmen, they can help you find different types of clubs and different things that you could be interested in. Most of our clubs post on different types of social medias like Instagram, for example, or even Facebook, and that's a really good way to find out what specific clubs we have and what they're offering.
Awesome. And Ms. Thrower, how can parents encourage involvement in club sports or spirit?
That's a great question. And I'm, speaking today as both the principal, but also as a Lambert parent. And being connected has been such a huge part of my kids' experience here at Lambert. We are, a large school. And so being a part of a club or athletic team or organization is what really helps our kids find their people and make a large school like Lambert feel smaller for them. So I couldn't agree more with what Niu said about the importance of getting connected. We have over 100 clubs, so there is something here for everyone. I believe that and feel strongly about that. Parents, our clubs are listed on our website. So, sit with your student, go through, look at some things that they could potentially get involved in, and just really support that extracurricular aspect alongside the academics. Our kids are getting two educations, I look at it. They are getting certainly that academic rigor, but alongside that, they are getting a social education. And we want them headed into college when they leave or the work. When they leave Lambert, we want them not only to be strong in that intellectual academic sense, but also in the interpersonal sense. And our clubs and organizations is where so much of those skills are built and honed and grow.
Awesome. You make great points about making sure that students have a great holistic experience, but that does kind of segue us into talking about starting strong academically as well. So what would you guys say are some academic habits that can make a big difference early on in the year for students?
Me personally, as a student, I think the best way is to start early by planning everything out. Planning out different types of study schedules and how you're going to manage all of your classes is super important, especially at a school like Lambert. A lot of us do take rigorous courses, and I think it's to keep up with all of them, it's super important to make sure you're planning everything out. I personally like to put all my test dates and my quiz dates on my Google Calendar, and I think that helps my mind reinforce the fact that, yes, I have a test upcoming and I need to be studying throughout this week.
Awesome. Ms. Thrower, can you speak a little bit to what Lunch and Learn is at Lambert and how parents can help students take advantage of that?
Absolutely. So we pride ourselves on our Lunch and Learn schedule. It's something that the kids love most about Lambert. They get an extended lunch period. It's a little over 50 minutes long, which gives them plenty of time to both eat and get academic support if they need that by scheduling through student support time, a session with any of their teachers, or one thing that my students used Lunch and Learn for, they were both really active after school. One of them had competitive dance and theater most days after school. The other one is two sport athletes, so she's off to practice her games a good bit of the year. So they use Lunch and Learn to get ahead on that homework, just because they know in the evenings their time is already spent doing other things. So they would really use Lunch and Learn. They would eat their lunch, socialize with friends, but then set time aside to also get ahead on that studying and homework aspect as well, which was a great use of their time.
Moving on to the college and career readiness part of the high school experience, how can, even in ninth grade, students begin exploring their interests or future pathways?
So starting in ninth grade, I think the best way for students to explore interests is definitely through different clubs, like I said before. That is the best way to look through all of your options. And Lambert offers a ton of different pathways that you can get involved in. I started with culinary my freshman year, and now I want to major in poli-sci. So there's so many things that you can look through, and it was something that I did as well to get myself involved in as many things as I could, just so I could really explore all of my interests. I still do musical theater, but at the same time, I am a varsity cheerleader as well. So I have different interests, but I've figured out through all these different experiences what I truly wanted to do at the end of it.
And Ms. Thrower, how does attendance relate to college and career readiness, and what role can parents play in encouraging good attendance and engagement in their students?
So attendance is obviously just one of those life skills, right? To be successful at your job or career later in life, you got to be there, you got to show up. And so parents, as you start to, grow and ingrain those life skills in your students, encouraging good attendance now and help build that muscle in them and that resilience in them is really important. My student came to me just last Friday, and my daughter was like, "Mom, can I stay home? I'm tired. It had been a really long week, due to rain delays. Softball had run really late. There was just a kind of a pile on of things." And I told her no. I was like, "Listen, you got to be there. We're only 14 days in. You got to show up. You got to be resilient, and you can come home and take a nap afterwards." And she did. And she was fine. So my role kind of at home, along with Mr. Thrower's, is, if we can be there and we're not contagious, then we got to show up, because when you're not there, you can't learn anything. So definitely parents, hone that resiliency, get them in the seat, because they're so much more productive and learn so much more when they're actually here and present and engaged.
Okay, so moving on into overall wellness, this is something that we care a lot about in the kind of leadership team at Lambert, making sure that our students are happy and healthy and functioning well. But starting high school can be really overwhelming. Ms. Thrower, what signs should parents look for that a student might be struggling?
That's a great question. I think there's some obvious things to look for. You want to make sure that they're getting good night's sleep. With our distraction-free policy, I've already seen major increases in engagement when I've been in classrooms without the access to personal devices. But there's something to be said for that at home too, right? So making sure devices are put away so that they're not distracted by them while they sleep. I suggest not letting them sleep in the room with them. I know that's not a popular thought. I know the kids out there are like, "Great, Ms. Thrower, you keep taking them away, I promise." It wasn't me, guys. But some healthy boundaries. Sleep is super, super important. And I think that's the one thing that I see kids not getting enough of these days is a good night's rest. Our teachers really try to update Parent Portal pretty regularly with grades. So staying on top of grades, that's kind of your first sign. If a failing grade goes in, ask them about it. And I think the most important thing is figure out just some systems of communication with your teenager. The typical, "How was your day?" and you get a grunt or a fine, But for instance, in my family, what we do when we sit down together in the evenings is we do a thing where we called highs and lows, where everyone goes around the dinner table and just shares what was, the low of your day or the thing that you wish you could do over if you could, but also what was the high of your day? What do you feel proud about? What went well today? And I get so much more information out of my kids with that system and that strategy than just, kind of the open-ended, "How was your day?" Because sometimes they don't want to share unless you pull it out of them. So figuring out a system like that, just keep those lines of communication open with your teenager.
Awesome. And Niu, how could students build healthy habits that support their mental and physical health? And if a student was struggling, what resources exist at the school if they were struggling with feelings of stress or anxiousness?
Yeah, that's a really good question. As a student who used to struggle with mental health, I think it's really important to find people to connect to. For me specifically, I found a safe space in a lot of friends through my clubs, and also the counselors at our school. The counselors at our school are super great to talk to. They're always there to listen to me or allow me to rant, and they give pretty good advice and feedback. And I know a lot of students are reluctant to tell the counselors anything because they think they'll just report back to their parents, but I promise you that's not the case. The counselors at our school are very their intention is to help you, and it's not to hurt you in any type of way. You have to seek the help that you need. You can't just neglect it, and I think negligence is probably the worst thing you can do to yourself.
So if we want to avoid negligence, what are some proactive habits that students could build to help support their mental and physical health?
Okay, so to be proactive for students, I think it's super important to make sure that you're getting a good night's rest of sleep. You're making sure that you're taking time to yourself and that you're not overwhelming yourself with all the responsibilities that you have, because it's true that high school is a time where you have a lot of responsibilities and there's a lot of things that stress you out, but you need to make sure that you're taking time to yourself. I think journaling is a really good way to get your feelings out. Listening to music, spending time with your family and your friends, and making sure that you have fun on the weekends and you're not studying all weekend, because I think that was probably my biggest problem. I wouldn't want to go out on the weekends to study, and I think when I started to kind of let loose and started going out, I think that was the best thing that helped me relieve a lot of my stress and was the best way that I stayed proactive to keep my mental health a priority.
I think the key is balance, Ms. Buccarati. We want our kids to, have a good balance of work and play. We want them to be good academic students, but we also want them to be good friends, and good family members. And the way you do that is certainly through connection and relationships. So finding the balance there is really what feeds our mental health and wellness.
I agree. Work hard, play hard.
Shifting gears into talking about parents partnering with our school, what's the best way for parents to stay connected and informed throughout the school year?
So definitely make sure you're reading our Longhorn Nation news that comes out every month. We really try to limit the number of individual messengers we send throughout the month, because I know as a parent myself, we are inundated with emails. So we try to put everything in that newsletter as best we can so that parents have a one-stop shop to the important monthly information of things going on at Lambert. Follow us on social media if you're active on social media. Join PTSO. We've already had 2 great student events this school year that our PTSO has helped to sponsor. One being our Senior Sunrise, where our seniors got to celebrate the start to their senior year, and our PTSO provided donuts for that. And then just last Friday, we had our first freshman tailgate before one of our home games, and had one of the best freshman turnouts we've ever had to kick off our football season. We love seeing them out there, and it was a great success. So those are a couple of ways. And then, just like I said, please, please, please keep those lines of communication with your student open.
All right. And for both of you, what's one final piece of advice you give parents to help their students start strong?
Tell your students to get involved, because the more you put into Lambert, the more you get. And I firmly believe that the more involved you let your student be, the more benefits they will get from this school. And that is my biggest advice to anybody at this school.
I would second what you said. Learn to love what they love. If they come home super excited about crochet club, let's crochet together. Just find ways to meet your kid where they are. The high school years, like you spoke about, are just such a great time of self-discovery for them. And they're going to continue to want to open up to you when you show passion and excitement for the different things that they are passionate and excited about. And that's what I love about teenagers, and that's why I love being a high school principal.
All right, Longhorns who are listening, thank you so much. Be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, where our podcast will be released every couple of months throughout this school year, with timely topics of things that need to be kind of communicated to our community at that point. Make sure that you are checking out every month's edition of Longhorn Nation News. You should get those from a school messenger. And then also keep your eyes on Lambert's social medias. You'll be able to see all of the grade level nights that our counseling department hosts, where we continue a lot of the same conversation and discussion. And we really appreciate your time and look forward to joining you in the next episode.